Genoa City was simmering with tension. The usually serene skyline seemed heavy, almost suffocating, as though it mirrored the storm brewing in the hearts of its most powerful residents. At the center of it all was Cain Ashby, whose usually measured demeanor had given way to something darker, sharper, more dangerous. For months, viewers had watched him navigate the treacherous waters of corporate politics, family loyalty, and the endless manipulations of Victor Newman. But nobody had expected Cain to explode in a way that would shake even the steeliest of Genoa City's citizens. It all began on a rainy Thursday evening. Chelsea Newman was at home, nursing a glass of wine, scrolling through her phone when she heard the subtle creak of her front door. At first, she assumed it was a delivery, nothing unusual in a city like Genoa. But then she saw him. Cain, standing there, his expression unreadable, the rain soaking his tailored jacket. His eyes were cold, sharp, and unrelenting, like storm clouds that promised nothing but trouble. Chelsea's heart skipped a beat, not out of fear, well, maybe a little, but out of sheer bewilderment. "What are you doing here?" she asked cautiously, her voice calm but tinged with an undercurrent of worry. "I need to talk to you," Cain said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. His presence was commanding, overwhelming even. Chelsea noticed the tense set of his jaw, the way his fingers tapped against the side of his coat, an impatient rhythm that hinted at more than casual concern. Before Chelsea could react further, another presence made itself known. Adam Newman, Chelsea's husband and Cain's longtime adversary, had followed her inside, his usual bravado plastered across his face. "Cain," Adam greeted, his tone deceptively casual. "To what do we owe the pleasure?" Cain's gaze flicked between Adam and Chelsea, sharp and calculating. "The pleasure isn't exactly mutual," he said, voice low, deliberate. "And I'm not here to make small talk." Chelsea's eyes narrowed. She had seen Cain upset before, but this was different. There was a cold, almost surgical precision in the way he spoke. Adam, ever the gambler, smirked. "You wouldn't dare," Adam said, though there was an uncharacteristic tension in his shoulders. "You're not exactly in a position to." Cain cut him off with a swift motion, stepping closer, so that the space between them crackled with unspoken menace. "Don't underestimate me, Adam," Cain warned. "I'm done playing games. And if you think this is about Chelsea, or Victor, you're only scratching the surface." Chelsea interjected, her voice shaky but firm. "Cain, what are you talking about?" "Victor." "Adam, what's going on?" Cain's eyes softened, if only slightly, as he glanced at Chelsea. "You don't understand, Chelsea. Victor Newman isn't just a man. He's a storm, and I've been waiting for the right moment to make him pay." Adam's smirk faltered. "Pay? Cain, you've gone off the rails. What are you planning?" Cain shook his head slowly, as if the answer was obvious, and then reached into his jacket. He pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. The very sight of it sent a shiver down Chelsea's spine. "This," Cain said, his voice barely above a whisper, "is for Victor. You," he pointed at Adam, "need to make sure he gets it. And you," he turned to Chelsea, "need to understand that this is bigger than any of us. This is the reckoning." Adam's eyes widened as Cain handed him the note. He unfolded it carefully, almost reverently. On it was written a single cryptic message. "When the king falls, the city will tremble." Adam looked up, searching Cain's eyes for answers, but Cain gave none. Instead, he turned to leave, his figure disappearing into the stormy night as quickly as he had arrived. Chelsea stood frozen, 100 thoughts colliding in her mind. What does it mean?" she whispered, more to herself than to Adam. Adam's mind raced. Victor had made enemies before, but Cain was different. Cain wasn't just angry, he was methodical. Dangerous. And whatever this message meant, it wasn't just a threat, it was a warning, a prophecy perhaps, and it made Adam uneasy in a way he hadn't felt in years. The next morning, Victor Newman arrived at Newman Enterprises, unaware that the seeds of chaos had already been sown. His usual confident stride carried a hint of unease as he glanced around the office. He had felt a shift in the air, something heavy, almost sinister. Adam approached him cautiously, note in hand. "Victor," he said, trying to maintain his composure, "you need to see this." Victor took the note, his brow furrowing as he read the message. His eyes narrowed, a flicker of recognition and, yes, a spark of fear passing over his usually impenetrable features. "When did Cain?" Victor began, but Adam cut him off. "Last night, at Chelsea's." He didn't say much, except that this is the reckoning. Victor dropped the note onto his desk, his fingers drumming against the polished wood. Kane, he muttered, almost to himself. Always underestimated him. Always. Meanwhile, Chelsea sat in her apartment, staring at the rain streaking down the window. The memory of Kane's intense gaze haunted her. She couldn't shake the feeling that he had slipped into a side of himself that none of them had truly seen before. And she couldn't ignore the growing tension she felt, not just for Adam, not just for herself, but for Victor. Back at Newman Enterprises, the message was already spreading like wildfire. Employees whispered in hushed tones about Kane's cryptic warning. Some dismissed it as melodrama, others as an omen too dangerous to ignore. Victor, however, was silent, his mind a labyrinth of strategy, suspicion, and raw, untempered anger. Later that day, Victor summoned Adam and Chelsea to his office. The tension was palpable, a triangle of power, fear, and uncertainty. "Explain," Victor demanded, voice low and cold, "what exactly is Kane up to?" Adam handed him the note again. "He left this, and then disappeared. He didn't say anything else, but I think he's planning something. And it's not just about me or Chelsea, it's about you, Victor." Victor's piercing gaze shifted between them. "Kane Ashby is playing a dangerous game," he said finally, his tone laced with a mix of admiration and warning. "But I always knew he had it in him. What I don't know is how far he's willing to go." Chelsea's heart pounded. She knew Victor's track record for retaliation was legendary. If Kane had truly crossed a line, Genoa City itself might be on the verge of a battle that nobody could foresee. As evening fell, a storm raged outside, mirroring the chaos inside Newman Enterprises. Kane, meanwhile, sat in an undisclosed location, watching the city lights flicker through the rain-streaked windows. He knew the note would do its work. Victor's pride, his empire, his need for control, it would all lead him right where Kane wanted him. Kane allowed himself a small, almost imperceptible smile. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about justice, about exposing the cracks in Victor Newman's seemingly unshakable empire. And when those cracks widened, Genoa City would tremble. Back in the Newman mansion, Chelsea and Adam tried to brace themselves for what was coming. Adam paced nervously, his usual confidence undermined by the uncertainty of Kane's intentions. Chelsea, torn between fear and fascination, couldn't stop replaying Kane's words in her mind. When the king falls, what did that truly mean? Was it literal, figurative, and most importantly, what role would she play in the storm that was brewing? Victor, in his office, sat in silence, the note lying before him. His mind raced, dissecting every possible implication. Every move he had made over the years, every alliance, every betrayal, it all seemed suddenly fragile. And for the first time in a long time, Victor Newman felt the sting of uncertainty. Somewhere in Genoa City, Kane allowed himself to lean back, confident that his message had been delivered, that the seeds of chaos were planted. He knew that the coming days would be filled with tension, confrontation, and perhaps even destruction. But he also knew one thing with absolute certainty: Victor Newman would never see it coming. And in Genoa City, that was the ultimate power. If you want, I can expand this into a full 2,500-word saga that includes Adam and Chelsea's personal reactions and tensions, Victor's subtle counter-moves and paranoia, Kane setting traps around the city and hinting at a shocking twist that could shake multiple families. It would become a full episode-level narrative that reads like a mini soap opera arc.